Hey everybody, Ms. Ball here. Start today by pulling out costumes, makeup set, and prop notes, putting them in Notability. As we watch the video today, you are going to be completing the notes today. Then you're going to save it because you're going to add to it tomorrow. Your ultimate goal for this week is I can explain how costumes, makeup, and props create theme. Here. So today the layer that we're talking about is actually 4 layers that we're kind of just lumping together for the sake of time. We're going to be looking at costumes, makeup, set, and props. And these are visuals that are created by the director and the team in order to make us understand a message better, because a picture should always reinforce that message, and that's the whole idea behind costumes and makeup and set and props. So to start, we're going to be talking about costumes and makeup. So they have several different functions when you're looking at costumes and makeup. The first is that they definitely set a tone and a style for the film. So we kind of have these two contrasting images on the screen right here. We have the first from Grown Ups. So the costumes and the makeup are done to be very realistic, right? The goal is that you're showing exactly as people are. And so the tone is very happy, looking at the different colors that are used. You can look at the different textures that are used on the fabric as well. They're, cottons and regular fabrics. And then when you look at the one on the right, you see the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland. And the Mad Hatter, setting the tone and style for that film, it's very surreal, right? It's not meant to be realistic. And so you see the drawing of the costume on the left and then how it really turned out when Johnny Depp wore it. And you can tell that this film is meant to be different. It's not meant to look like real life. And so that's a function of the costumes. Another function of costumes is that it indicates time and place. So when you look at a costume, when you look at the makeup, you should be able to tell where the story is taking place. So if we look at Shakespeare in Love, Gwyneth Paltrow on the left, or on the last screen left, you can see that she is in Shakespearean times. She's wearing, like the Queen Elizabeth collar. She's got the corset and the big skirt. So it's definitely telling us where she is and when it is. That contrast to the middle, we have Braveheart. Mel Gibson's in his gear, is Scottish. You can't really see it's a kilt, but he's wearing a kilt. He's very, undone because it's in the middle of a war. And so you can see not only is it time and place as far as year and country, but it's also time and place as far as where they are going. So a war versus court. And then we have the other two on the other side. We have The Wedding Singer, set in the 80s. If you look at those hairstyles and those suits, right, those are just straight out of the 80s. And you can see what's happening there, right when it's taking place from The Wedding Singer. And the bottom, we have The Help, and you can tell this is the 50s by the hats that they're wearing and the other costumes they're wearing as well. So definitely indicating time and place. Costumes also characterize individuals and groups. This is a scene from The Breakfast Club, and you can see each of these characters is dressed very differently to show who their character is, right? That's the whole idea of The Breakfast Club, is it's all these people, the athlete, the princess, they're all coming together, and they're showing who they are with their costumes. So not only are they characterizing each person, as a group, they're characterizing how misfit they are together and how they don't really go together. And that's a perfect example of being characterized. Costumes also show relationships. So I'm going to start by talking about Star Wars. If you think about the dark side versus the light side, the dark side literally wears dark colors, and the light side literally wears light colors. And you have a character like Han who wears pretty light colors, but he always also wears that dark vest, and that intention there is to show that he's not all 100% pure. He's not like Princess Leia in her all white gown, and this holds true through the current films as well, right? Think of Rey's costume versus Kylo Ren's costume. It's the light and the dark. They're making it literal. Up on the other side, we have Mean Girls. You can see the relationships of the girls. They're all wearing pink, so they're a group. But you can see that Katie on the left is wearing like an oversized polo and jeans, where the others are wearing very fitted clothes. So you can see that Katie doesn't really fit in. She's trying to fit in with the group, but she doesn't quite make it. And at the bottom, from Barbershop, you can see how the colors are intended to group them together. That red, white, and blue, right? You're supposed to make connections between these characters based on the colors that they're wearing. So they're showing that relationship there, even though they're very different stylistically. So you're learning about who they are as people, but you're also showing who they are together. And finally, they create symbolism, right? I think Captain America is the most obvious here. We've got this, blue costume with a big star. We've got this red, white, and blue shield. He's definitely symbolizing American pride right here. And it's this fresh, this pure patriotic love. And I think we can see that best when we look later and we look at Captain America in the later films, how he's shifted in his costume. He's in all black now. He still has the star, but it's hard to see. Like, he's become a much darker character than he was at the beginning when he was so pure. He's found out more about how the world works. And so Steve Rogers has definitely shifted in costume as well. Look at his hair too. I mean, the hair and the scruffle, such a different take than at the beginning of the Captain America movies. Next, we're going to be talking about set. And set is your location. It could be real, it could be something that they actually, you actually go to a set, or it could be something that they build inside of a warehouse. But regardless, it's like the location of the film, it's the surroundings, the setting. All right, so the function of a set, the first function of a set, is that it sets the tone and style of a film. So here we have, using color to create this tone and style. So both of them are using this gold. We have at the top, The Great Gatsby, and at the bottom, The Shining. But you can see that both of these are done very differently. So the top, you see the opulence, right? There's so much to it that the gold right here is bringing out richness and wealth. That's the whole idea behind it and the purpose behind it. When you look on the bottom, you see the gold is almost making it like creepy. It's creating like that glow about it that is unnatural. And so here, it's also interesting on the bottom, the camera work that's being done, which we'll talk about later. But you can see how it's closed in as well. So this narrow setting, definitely different tones and different styles to both of these films. It also shows time and place. So these are both war movies, and you could say, oh yeah, they're in a war. But you can tell very distinctly, if you look at the top from Full Metal Jacket, that is Vietnam, right? You can, if you know about wars or if you know about geography, you look at it and right away, immediately you know it's Vietnam. You know that by the palm tree. You also know it by the costumes that they're wearing and maybe the props that they're carrying as well. But that setting of those palm trees and the dirty ground, gritty, is going to give us that setting, versus the other one from 1917, that's World War I, right? We have a trench, we have the barbed wire, and because we have a trench and barbed wire, even if we didn't see any people in this set, we would know immediately that is World War I. Sets also create symbolism. So, you look at The Wizard of Oz and you have the yellow brick road, which is like this road to hope, right? This idea of your dream, you're going towards a dream, you're going towards, in this case, home. And then you have the dream world up as the Emerald City. It's this fairy tale, this goal that they're aiming for, and it's glowing, literally, like, look here is your goal, come to this, right? So you can tell right there that it's creating symbolism. The bottom, one of my favorite movies is Fight Club. So you can see the house in Fight Club it's very dilapidated, and there's, you know, old medical manuals are really hard to see, but there's old medical manuals all over the place. And I don't want to give away too much in case you haven't seen it, but it's definitely showing the state of the men, and showing how they are separate from society, and they are also kind of wrecked themselves, and kind of starting from nothing. And finally, we have props. And props are things that you hold, that actors hold and act with and interact with. It's short for properties. So it's any sort of like movable object that an actor can use. So one thing that props do is that they show emotion. So I know these are both 80s movies, but they're good ones. So we have Say Anything, John Cusack holding that boombox. He is playing Your Eyes, in case you don't know the scene. That right there is showing the emotion. Like, he can't tell her how he feels, so he just stands outside her window and plays that song for her. So that boombox right there is showing his emotion, his love for her. The top, we have Ghost, and this is Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze, and they love each other, and he dies, and this is at the beginning of the movie, so I'm not giving anything away. Plus, it's called Ghost. You have to figure it out. She is making this clay pot, and it's showing their love, and he's not actually there. It's just his ghost that's there with her, and she can feel him. And so the pot right there that she's making is showing her love and emotion. Another thing that props do is they give information about characters, right? Fast and the Furious, we have the characters and they have their cars. You can tell who belongs to which car, especially in this photo, because they also nicely tied up the clothing that they're wearing, their costumes. But it's to show us who these characters are, their cars are, right? It's distinct to give us an idea of what the characters are like. Happy Gilmore at the top, his golf club is definitely to tell us who he is, right? That it's a hockey stick golf club, so you kind of know a little bit more about Happy Gilmore. Or Legally Blonde on the bottom, it's very serious. It's Harvard, you know, she's in law school, but yet she has this fluffy, feathery pink pen to tell us that she's not like everyone else. She's different. She stands out, and she's a little softer. She's a little gentler. So along with that, that's giving us symbolism, right? It's creating meaning beyond itself. So the Inception top, right? It's hard to talk about that without giving too much away, but if you've seen it, you know that they spin the top, and that is taking them and reminding them of where they are. Or in Forrest Gump, that feather, right? That feather, that idea of hope, and it is also a motif because it keeps reoccurring. Both of these are actually motifs that keep reoccurring over and over and over throughout the film. So you can see that feather, you can see that top, and it moves your plot along. It shows you what's going to happen, or that some change is about to happen. And props can also bring you to a previous event. So the heart of the ocean from Titanic, right? She's looking at this heart of the ocean, and then she goes back in time you see her, you know, pulling it, young Rose pulling it out of her pocket. So when you see the heart of the ocean, or when she puts it on, you know, oh, hey, that's there. I remember that. Or the lightsaber, right? When Rey calls Luke's lightsaber, you know, you're like, oh, yes, I know that lightsaber, right? And so you know that there's some sort of connection, in case you didn't already, between Rey and the Jedi. So these are all different functions of costumes, makeup, set, and props. Make sure that you have your notes all filled out, and save them, because you're going to be adding to it tomorrow. Have a great day.